the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning, Dave. Nice to have you up here. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as written.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, approve the minutes for 11/14.
I read through them, I didn't see anything, so I'll make that motion.
I have a first, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. General public concerns. Guess they're on the agenda, so we'll move right on to Gloria.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm here, go ahead.
You have some concerns about tax abatement.
Yes, I own the property at 2180 States Avenue. My brother has lived there for quite a few years. He passed away 4 years ago. I am getting ready to sell the property, and I found out the taxes haven't been paid on, I paid him for the property. But he put an addition onto the house, and he put up a shed on this property. And those taxes evidently were going to him, which neither my husband nor, he passed away last year, knew. So therefore, I'm getting ready to sell it, and there are taxes that are not paid.
Okay.
And I don't understand, he put an addition onto the house, and that is taxed separately?
Do you want to explain that, Jana?
Yes, since the building permit was in his name, then considered his property, he's the one who built it. And any time someone puts a real estate structure on land owned by somebody else, they're taxed as building on land of another. So a lot of times it's grain bins that happens, where
Okay.
farmer puts up a grain bin on the land that is owned by the landlord of the property. So in this case, then,
Because the one is attached to the house.
so, when I looked at the assessor's paper for mine, it showed a 30 by 30 garage, built in like, what, 2000 or 2001, sometime in
Yeah.
that time frame. And then, must be a wheelchair ramp.
What's that?
Was there a wheelchair ramp he put
Yes,
up there
oh yes,
also?
there's a wheelchair ramp, it's made out of cement.
And a deck and 900 square foot addition.
Yep, you get 30 by 30 addition.
which-
That's on the house?
Yeah.
Yes. attached.
Plus the 30 by 30 garage?
Yeah, it does
Oh.
have an extra.
It's a shed, but
It's a
evidently
garage.
it's inside.
Okay.
All right.
But the addition on the house, that would go on the house, wouldn't it?
No, when it's, the building permit is by the other entity that goes to them. It's like, different people can own different floors of a commercial building downtown.
Okay, my question
I could
is,
kinda
if
do
they're
it.
delinquent, why would you let the landowner know that?
I had no clue.
Because the Iowa code says we can't.
Then you could be building all kinds of buildings on somebody else's property, and they never know if taxes are paid or not.
Correct.
That needs to be changed.
We've tried, and the
Now, okay,
legislators
I
don't.
built on my mom and dad's property numerous buildings. They never tax them as mine because it's not on my ground. Explain that to me. They would not let them put them...
Did you get a
put
building
my
permit?
name.
Did you have a building permit, with a record of a building permit? You just...
Well, yeah, it's in my name, but since I don't own the ground, I can't do the taxes on the buildings. It's back to the landowner, is what we were always told. And now this is completely different, like,
I'd have to research that, but that's not the way it,
well, I don't see how you put an addition onto somebody else's house and call half of it yours and half of it his.
Well, I did where I lived, 'cause my landlord went, helped me out, and so I paid for it, put it on. I built a machine shed, an addition on my house, and had a BLA on it, which I paid. So I do have a little experience with that.
Okay?
so the taxes have all been sent to him all these years.
Yes, so I had no clue.
Other than-
I pay my taxes, everything I get, I pay. And when I come in, I have somebody that's interested, My sister-in-law's lived there 4 years rent-free, and I finally decided I can't keep paying insurance and taxes with her living there. So, I have somebody interested, and that's how I found out that there are back taxes.
But wouldn't there have been a tax auction?
We can't sell buildings on land of another at tax sale, right?
So this thing could've went on for 20 years.
We would have to go take them to small claims, and it hasn't happened yet, to get our money out of them.
So you could take her to small claims, but not me then?
Correct.
But then I can't sell the
Yeah,
house,
that
then
ties up the
acreage.
property.
Right,
But
That's
I
the
can't sell
unfortunate
the
part.
acreage then either.
right.
Mhm.
Still a lien on the property. We tried to change the law on that building of land of another. The big part of place we get hit is mobile home court.
Oh, yeah.
People put up sheds, decks, and that's theirs, that's not the mobile home
What is
owner. So we tax them separately, and when they don't get paid, we're back in court to try to collect that. So we've asked to have it switched to just the mobile home park, collected and added to his rent for the lot, and we get knocked down all the time. Nobody wants to change it.
I'm afraid there ain't anything we can do for you.
What are the back taxes? I mean,
It's over $5,000.
Penalty and
Almost
interest
six.
is over 5,000 for 7 years of tax.
for 7 years,
$1,506.
how much?
5,906.
Per
I was
year?
gonna say,
No,
that's
total.
total, that's
Total.
almost 6,000 total.
Mhm.
It's about 400 to 450 a year on the garage and addition that he's been taxed and hasn't paid. So I don't know.
Is there
why he
any-
didn't-
I can understand the situation, but if we treat this differently, it opens up,
So we can just let it be and not sell it, they can go after her then?
yeah,
That takes, what, up to a year maybe?
I don't
it
know.
may take forever.
Yeah, if you give your eviction notice.
Another,
She's out.
Oh.
She's already done.
Okay.
another option would be for you to go after the taxes and penalties, but you obviously know you're probably not gonna get them.
Is there any way I could get a part or portion of that forgiven?
She's going to pay the taxes.
Yeah, I understand that.
I have to.
Mhm.
We just have done our best we can to contact him and let him know they're owed, and I don't know why they didn't.
He's been gone for 4
I mean,
years.
that's the prior 3 years.
Will his estate be able to pay him? Is there an
His
estate?
what?
Has the estate been settled? He's been gone for 4 years.
I don't know if there was an estate, I don't know.
I'm sure it's been, I'm sure.
That'd be
it's been-
one of the things that the estate would have debit to.
She has nothing.
Yeah.
And he didn't either.
It's just a bad situation.
It is, and like I say, I have.
And it's no fault of your own, because,
No, I would gladly
But my
take
thing
the,
is, why don't you let the landowner know that people are getting so far behind, 'cause this, I mean, it comes back on the landowner.
Mhm.
They need to be notified. I mean, this is what I would say the county's probably doing something wrong at fault, that they're not letting the landowners know on these tax abatements. Know that, hey, that my tenant or whatever is delinquent.
Mhm.
I mean, if she would've known, and she would've paid.
Yeah,
I was glad they paid.
Yeah, I
My
believe
taxes,
that.
I pay on time.
We can look at a way to add another address, or not,
Well, no,
there's gotta be a way
It's gonna be sold, so that
Yeah.
has to be done.
I meant in the
Mhm.
future, that's the thought,
Because
to see if there's a way to.
somehow the original house is listed as a half. I found that out too through this.
As a-
Evidently the shed is the 2080 or whatever, and then evidently the house is the half.
Oh,
2080
I
and a
did see,
half.
yeah, there are two different addresses,
Yes,
right,
Oh, they're even under two different addresses.
yeah.
but the house is all on
How do
one.
they do a half on 911?
I have no idea.
I've never heard of a half.
I don't know if
They
there,
have
I don't
like
think there
B's
is.
and C's and downtown, you have.
Yeah,
But I don't-
You have a half, like,
I delivered mail in
Decor
Humboldt
shop
for a while,
and-
and a lot of them were half
the decor shop and
for mail.
Hollickson's are a half,
Yeah.
202 or whatever it is,
I wasn't
702
aware.
or 702 and a half.
You did a good deed and it came back to bite you, what it amounts to. You allowed them to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like I said, had I had any clue, or my husband too, we would have paid them every year.
Mhm.
It's unfortunate that he didn't let you know that.
I know.
I was gonna say, that's probably the biggest thing there is, and nothing against farmers, but when farmers do something out and they don't let their wife know and all of a sudden they pass away and it's like you're just finding stuff out and you didn't have a clue that that was
No,
how it
no.
was set.
And like I say, I'm not sure that the Denny knew, I mean, because they were not...
Well, yeah, how would you know if they're not paying their taxes unless you read it in the paper?
Right, they weren't sent to us, so...
It would've been in the paper, wouldn't it?
No, it would not.
See, that's what,
Oh,
Well,
the
they
BLAs
never
aren't in the
read that.
paper either, huh?
you never gotta know it.
No, the first clue is-
This is really wrong that this
It
has
is.
been on up to, who knows the dollar amount?
Yeah.
It's not, now why was that not in the paper?
We can't advertise them by law.
So when people are delinquent, you can't put them in the paper?
Not on building on land of another.
Why is that, I wonder?
I don't know.
So basically-
I don't know who started that law, but the, only place that you would have known is when you got your assessment from the assessor's office, it doesn't have the garage on there, to know that you aren't being taxed for it.
Well, yeah,
It just has the house and the land on your assessment.
but they still won't know whether it was being paid or not.
No?
They have no, that's the whole thing, this whole thing is, it's,
Yeah, that's the problem, when you allow someone to put the land, a building on your land, you're taking that risk, I suppose.
I guess they're assuming a tenant and a landowner have a good connection, communication, so. But I will check and see if there's a way to add it for future, another address. We do on contract sales, anytime a property is sold in contract, we notify the seller.
so why can't you notify? That's what I just don't understand, how you can't notify them on back taxes.
Okay, when you say sold on contract, that, I want to sell, but it won't be on contract, so...
It doesn't matter, Mom,
Oh, it
then they would let you know.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, then we have
Then
two
they have to
addresses.
let you know.
okay, okay.
Yeah, they treat it as a private property, that's private business, and
Wish there's something we can do, but I think our hands are tied, really. I really don't think the law's on our side. It's a family situation you gotta resolve, but it's too bad. You did something great, helped somebody out, and it came back to bite you, is what I'm on.
No, it's my fault that the assessor's not letting people know about this. This needs to be changed now.
Yeah, I can see your point.
This needs to be changed.
Because what if it went on for 40 years?
Exactly. It's worth more than the property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has to be changed. I mean, this is one thing that this assessor needs to get changed.
well, that's probably part of the Iowa code also, that they do what the code says, I'm sure.
Well, maybe
They would.
you need to let the landowners know what's going on, like, hey, if they're delinquent, the landowner needs to know. Because I think it's very wrong that the landowner is stuck with something that the tenant did.
I do too.
That's
Mhm.
very wrong.
Right, I agree.
And at the moment, she doesn't have a job, I mean, she's out and everything, but she doesn't, there's no way by, well, going after her.
No, it'd be wasting your time.
Yes,
The, when they're saying it's building on land of another, they're technically saying he could pick that garage up and move it and you couldn't stop him.
But who signed the papers on that? Was there ever a contract?
The
So, I
building
mean,
permit would be the one thing that
So
we have.
somebody could come in and do it, and the landlord will never know about it. Honestly, I could come in and build something on her, say, oh, I put that in my name, Mom.
I don't know what the building permit process is like.
There's nothing on there because the landowner never has to sign. That's my thing. This could happen every day, and the landowner would never know it. Because there's no record of...
Yeah, if he was someone like from California, the landowner or something.
yeah.
Yes, you would never know.
Well, see, that was my situation, my landlady was from Colorado,
Mhm.
Yep.
and she had no interest in it, so I needed more space, so I went that route with her blessing, you know, I asked her if I could do that
Yep.
first, and she agreed to it, but I don't think there was anything written.
See, this could happen every day, and landowners would never know about it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, if you build on land of another's, the landowner needs to be signed off on it, and needs to be notified of it.
Yeah, there needs to be some written,
And
Agreement of notification.
So it's the whole process, pretty much that needs to be revamped.
It does, I mean,
Start to
seriously.
finish.
This could
Janet,
be a
this
bad
is a
deal for you
legislative
guys.
change.
yeah, this is a legislative, this is
a local
something,
thing, this is something
Statewide.
that would have to be changed at the state, because it's statewide like
Right.
this.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well, somebody needs to voice their opinion and get it done, because this could be a problem.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure.
Oh, it is a
we're not
problem.
Yes, yes.
For you, it is a problem right
Yes, it
now.
is.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because the acreage is only worth 30,000.
Mhm.
And when she moved out, she left a lot of stuff. We're already on our our third roll-off. So I mean,
Mhm.
the money is, yeah. And what would have happened, because we talked about burying everything.
Whoever bought the ground.
Until you tell the assessor's office that the buildings are gone, that you're still taxed on the buildings.
It's still,
But even if you buried the taxes and penalties, it'd still be there.
Past year.
Until
You're
you tell,
exactly right.
until you
That's what
tell
I
the
say.
assessor it's gone. Or they do their every other year visit, they would see it, but then you're still stuck for that year and a half, or 2 years of taxes until they until they visually see it.
I don't know when the legislators are come through on a Saturday, but that would be something to talk to Sexton and,
Mhm.
Cranberry.
Cranbrink, and ask them to look into it,
Look into it.
because right now, she has guidelines that she has to follow, and basically, we do too. I know it's not very fair, or...
No.
I mean, I'd like to say we can do that, but then we just would have then nobody'd say, well, I ain't gonna pay my taxes, because I don't
How
have
many of
to.
these you get ran through here? I mean, this is a completely...
We get
I know.
multiple ones a year.
Building on land of
Or,
another.
it's just asking to be forgiven taxes.
No, building on land of another's. This is what I'm getting at. This is when she has been a taxpayer, paid everything. This is not the normal, oh, I'm not gonna pay my taxes.
I know.
This is probably never...
How many, like, there's a ton of BLAs out there.
There are.
There really is, a
I've
lot
got
of them.
But is there a lot of them that have a problem like this?
No.
I'd have to look. I get,
This is the first one I've seen since I've been on the board.
See, the biggest thing is, what are the penalties versus the taxes?
Oh.
1.5% a month.
The penalties are
7 years.
2,100 and taxes are 37. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It is. So, I mean, the penalty, I've got to know, yes, you're at fault, I can see that. When people don't pay the penalties there, when a person is unknown of a tax, that to me is wrong. It'd be sending you a late fee on something that...
You never got a bill for, or you never even
Never
bought
got a
it.
bill for it.
And you
This
never
is-
bought it.
Yes. That's what I say, the taxes, yes, taxes need to be paid, I'm not fighting that. It's the penalties that, we didn't even know about it, that it was behind.
or there wouldn't have been any penalties.
Right.
Mike should have paid it, is what we're saying.
Well,
Well,
like
Or
I
he should
said,
have
yeah.
told you he wasn't paying.
Yeah, and like I say, he was
behind.
behind like 2 years. Like I say, he's been gone over 4.
Mhm.
So, okay, he's been gone, and his wife, but it's only in his name, how does that work then?
Whatever the law says you can do, I would have to
But it's
research
not
it.
tenants in common, so it doesn't transfer to the wife. This is what I say, this is a whole thing that can be a real problem.
It is,
It's
yeah.
always been a problem. It's not the first time.
Well,
We can live a delinquent then and not worry about it. It's property. Am I correct?
You're the one who got the title opinion that said taxes are delinquent, so he wouldn't have a clear title to that garage.
Well, I just let him live there for nothing, I won't sell it. He can just live it like people else have been, and the taxes won't be paid. I mean,
True.
that's how I look at it. I mean, do you want your money today or not, is what I'm getting at. We're willing to say, hey, we'll pay the tax,
Keep going.
for your penalties.
I wish we could do that, but we can't. That's the problem. I don't think
Everybody
we
has
can.
But,
reason.
just keep growing, yeah.
Just to say, you either, it'll just keep building, and
Mhm. Well, someday the land will have to be sold, and then it can't be sold without a clear title. That's the issue.
well, I guess the land never gets sold then.
He'll inherit it, so.
Any other thing from
I
you?
just think it's wrong that,
We'll work with it. I think we gotta work with the legislators on that.
Yeah,
I think
that's
we were,
the route we'll have to go, see if we can get the laws changed.
I would highly recommend trying to visit with one, either or both, Cranbrink or Sexton, and explain that to them.
Sorry. Well, we'll have to move, what is it? Yeah. We'll move on to Paul Jacobson.
Okay,
I don't know if he's here.
He was out there.
Hey, we should add this when we work on the legislative stuff.
That would be something you can put on
I
that.
mean, we definitely get an extra for sure, 'cause we harp on things about
Talk to anybody when we're at.
Well, unfortunately,
What happened here, it's gotta happen elsewhere.
It does.
We'll get in there next year, but that won't help this problem.
well, you feel terrible, but like you said, you just,
Come on, Paul.
we had a mess.
Well, yeah. Morning, Paul.
Morning.
What do you have for us today?
Ready for us?
Yeah.
For me, I should say. The only one order of business this morning, I have a quote to replace our heating system in the mechanic side or the maintenance side of our main shop at 2221 220th Street. It's a Corayback system. This is to replace most of the tubes in the burners of the existing system that was built when the building was built. 3 years ago now, we put a new roof on this part of it, to stop the dripping on the Corayback heaters. Now it's time for the Corayback. What I did is, requested quotes. Initially, I worked with the supplier, beginning of summer, to try to gather, all of the right pieces of the puzzle, and so that we could ask for quotes for just replacing in kind, or replacing with, the same material, because we have the vacuum pump on it has been replaced 5 or 6 years ago, and that's one of the expensive components on it. Moral of the story is the two suppliers in this area of Corayback equipment is Sand Construction and North Central Iowa Service. Both have submitted quotes, and both are very close. Both are quoting, obviously, the same material, because that's what we asked them to do. Sand Construction's worked on these, as a matter of fact, built the building in the 70s and has worked on Corayback, for the most part up till now. Out of the existing system, there is 10 burners, 8 of them are still alive and well. 2 of them we've unhooked for lack of parts to get them fixed. So at some point, we need to fix it, and thus we're here.
What have you got in road?
Corayback.
Same thing, yeah, it works good, I know that.
The Corayback we have in the east shop up here, we have it in Hardy and in Bode. I believe, the installation was done through the contractor on the east shop. That was not Sand Construction. Otherwise, Sand did Bode and Hardy both too. But we have, not necessarily a new kid in town, but NCIS wasn't here when this building was built in the 70s, but is here now. And they have a proposal for $31,926 versus Sand's of $32,120. And you should have that, don't you,
It's here.
Rick?
We got it.
Got it.
Okay, he's taking notes, and that makes me nervous.
It's in your pack there, go down a little deeper, Rick.
And-
So, you said parts
And
of this
that's going
are
before that.
not working, so this is gonna replace and fix all of the things that...
The only thing this doesn't include is the vacuum fan against the wall that we replaced a few years ago. There's that piece is new, it's the same component that would go in today. The rest of this is all the tubes, pipings, and controls. They would be stuck through the web the way they are now. This would be a 4-inch system, 4-inch tubes. Some of what we have now are 2.5 tubes. There's 10 40,000 B2 burners in this existing system, and this proposal is for 400,000 BTU burners. We had some concerns on the placement of those burners, because in separation distance for anything below wherever the burner is,
Gets too high.
and we got looking at it. He came up, we reviewed the final shopping list from DPT Mechanical, and we left his, design arrangement alone as to where the burners are. I think they'll work all right the way we're parking equipment now, and if they're ever an issue, you end up shielding whatever's below you that potentially would melt or burn, but,
So, where do we leave this temperature and stuff in, like, in December, January, when it's, are you
Like Jack...
45, or are you...
Oh, no, they're a lot warmer than that.
No, I mean, like, during the night, do they regulate, or
No,
do
they
they stay
stay
at 60?
No, we leave it, it's set at, we don't have adjustable up and down.
Okay.
It could be, and that could work, in between snows. For instance, now at 20-degree nights in our east shop, you could lower that and run. But part of it is to keep, coming in after snow is to melt everything off and keep the oils and the hydraulics reasonably warm, so we're not running out with cold hydraulics.
Right. I didn't know if you had it on time.
No, we don't have adjustable.
Because you don't know when...
This stuff, it's an indirect, infrared heat, and it is,
My opinion would be if one company beats the other and they do the same work, we have to take a little bit.
Yeah.
$94 saved.
Right. No, I understand that completely. We asked them both, and otherwise, why would we ask them both again?
Yeah,
Are
my
they-
word, it's the future.
Are they both willing to get it done ASAP?
Well, it depends on, the equipment should be readily available, and it's, both of them said it'd be roughly a week, and both said if the weather was conducive or mild temperatures, because we will be down when they do it. And if not, we would end up paying for the, $17,000-$18,000 worth of materials out of this, roughly half, and pay it for it as materials stored and do it in the summer or whenever we get to it. I would recommend that we take one of them now and see what happens, make sure we get all the material here. If we get a window and they got the manpower and availability, we have been without heat there for days, and we've opened the doors from the office side and helped supplement the shop side. As long as you're not opening and closing doors much, you can hold it to reasonable temperatures, and see what happens. And if it can work, it can work. If we're not gonna get it, we do need to, put some filters. Every one of these little burners got a filter on, and we need to order those. If it's not gonna look like it's gonna happen soon, we need to get some filters up there on them and make service what we have. And both can do that. Sands has done that, fairly religiously, every fall or early winter, this time of the year, to get everything fired up.
Well, I guess my feelings are, and I agree with Carl doing the $190 is $190. But if one can have it done next week, and the other one's gonna be the end of December, then
Both of them would be dependent on materials, and according to the supplier, the materials that they spec are all shelf stock items, so they should be...
no big, well...
Neither one is committed to that they would finish it in December or in January or whatever, but both have said that if the window is there and we have everything, we can try to do it. Otherwise, one wrote that they would, Sands wrote that if we need temporary heat or whatever, they'd supply or they have that available, which I knew they had that available. And, yeah.
And the second question is this in our budget is this something we have...
Buildings, we have a building budget, and this is one of the things we keep
You put
piecing
on.
together in stages on this. Next thing would be electrical on this, Bruce, to take that electrical
Load off.
menagerie and make it...
Right. Where we looked at it the day we walked around in there.
And we have some, budget quotes for those kind of things, but we take them a piece at a time, and first we got the roof, so we didn't have to stand in there with an umbrella on the units, and then, no, I recommend we approve one of them, and we see if we end up with some, 20s in the nights and 30s or 40s in the daytime.
We had it 20 last night, it
Yeah, I
was 22 this morning.
Yeah, it's full last couple of days.
But this kind of stuff, we started this early, it looks like we have poor timing, we're either early or late, on how you look at it. We had in July or June, I was trying to work with DPT Mechanical, the only supplier of this equipment. We did look at going to generic, and pulling whatever we had out, and going with other systems that are available. But by the time we're done, the rest of the county is on this system.
Yeah,
We already have the vacuum pump. This is the most efficient system on the market, but it is also, you paying for it too.
Well, I'd make the motion to accept the North Central Iowa Services for $31,926.
I'll second that, first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we'll move on down. We have approved rate of pay for part-time custodian.
We have, are you done?
I'm done with what I
I
have.
got a couple, can I ask?
Yeah, go
a
ahead,
couple
go ahead.
questions?
Now we can...
I got, a phone call yesterday from Ben Bjornson. Back when he was on the board, he said they experimented with some clay. I don't know if you were on there.
Ben was long before me.
Yeah.
He's right here on 215
Yeah.
up there. Yep.
Experimented with some clay, using it on the shoulders. He says you might remember, when they put some clay along the shoulders and used it as, instead of the rock. He said they did a couple of roads with it and it just packed in there like concrete.
Sure it will.
Well, they're mining some out there on the west side of the quarry, on that or that pasture, where they haul all that sand out for the Fairway building.
Oh, okay.
And it's up in between the quarry and the cemetery. Sands evidently has that property, and he said there's a huge vein of clay going across there. And he just said, wondered if we would ever be interested in doing something like that again. I said I would toss that at you and see if...
It's easier before, I mean, a clay base, obviously, you can compact and get great densities out of it. The problem and the expensive part is getting it there. Getting it spread and uniform and on the shoulder. Cassuth County for years, and still does today, if you notice, has a lot of grass shoulders, where they took great efforts to try to get grass established. But in the advent of duals and wider ag equipment and whatever, even that isn't as good anymore because of all of what we're running off the edge of the shoulder. With 11-foot lanes running with 15-foot wide equipment, we're always off to the side, and it hammers it. Rock right now is what we use, it's readily available and flows.
Right.
So we can get it on there and compact it. It does crush and blow away, and so will the clay if it's not grassed. I mean, if you could get the right mixture, get it compacted in there and get nice sod on it, and then not kill it by traffic, it's gonna last with little or no maintenance.
Well, if nothing else, he just was letting us know it's available if...
Big clay pile available, apparently.
Well, it's out in there. I had to drive out with him, and, which was another adventure, but...
Well, you get a lot of adventures, and you're gonna get more as time goes on.
It's quite a large...
You can write
pile
about
of clay out there, but anyway, and I don't know...
But it is west of, is part of Fairway, or where is it?
No, when you go up through the cemetery, between the cemetery and that, it's out there on the north side of that.
Oh, okay.
And they took some of that sand and stuff off there. Well, now they're down, and there's a vein of clay that goes along that ridge. And he said Jim Groenbeck and, Gary Jensen, have that property, but evidently they let sands in there to do some of that, and so he said if you're...
Clay source, is
Yeah.
what you're saying.
My other question is, 210th in Colorado out there, you visited with Gary? Dave was out there?
He had driveway permit.
Right, and I visited with him after you and I went on our drive on the...
Yep.
Dumping in the ditch, and, he told me this morning that where those willows are, he sure thinks that needs to be dipped out in the ditch.
Yeah, I'm sure he thinks it needs to be done.
Well, I mean, what is our stance that he's gonna, if we dip it, he's gonna pay for it, if we don't dip it, or what are we at?
We got willows all the way along the stretch, they encroach on up into the right-of-way, jump the right-of-way and go on in. We can nuke the willows, we can spray and get rid of the willows. as far as the roadway is concerned, I'm not sure the road is in any need of any drainage at that point. In other words, what's the drive to clean the ditch? Whose motive is it to clean the ditch?
Well, it's not
Does
mine.
does the ditch need cleaned from the county road perspective?
On the south side of Colorado and 210th, the ditch there, there's water standing.
I think it would drain that pond right by the...
Right up by the road,
intersection there,
right at the
yeah.
intersection of 210 and Colorado. And there's that culvert down to the south that,
Is an equalizer.
yeah,
I mean, it's a big pond, the whole area's a big pond under wet conditions, and wherever you dig a hole out there, you're gonna have water in it.
well, my question is, he says, 'cause if it don't, then I'm gonna go. I said, don't do that. We don't want you out there digging, and then we have to go and try to clean up, get it back to the right height, get it.
Yeah, that's dangerous, yeah.
But evidently Dave was out there the other day and talked with him, and Dave made the comment that it should be cleaned out.
Well, that's, might be what he heard.
Well, that may be. I don't, and I'm just the referee.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm asking, will you look into it, either call me, so...
The trees, the only comment
I
I heard
suggested
was
that you wanted the agreement. That's the way we left it when we went on our ride. If he went into an agreement with us, if it needs cleaned out, then we're
right, if he...
we're able to do that.
Is he, I mean, an agreement is the right way to deal with any of these things.
Right. So that's my answer to give back to him, is the agreement.
Well, that's, then when we answer, on the short trip we took with just a few examples of the drainage of the right-of-way, what do we tell the other ones? If, I mean,
If we clean that one and
what
then
I've
the other
told the
four.
other ones is that it should be by agreement.
Right.
Because
We
they're
don't have an
affected.
agreement with Gary though, do we?
No, we
Well,
don't.
we could probably
For
get
Island in the
one.
road ditch, we don't have any agreement there.
We could probably get one though,
What if-
if we clean that.
Well, what if the downstream property owners don't want it? Or what if
It
the
goes
property...
right, it goes right to that waterway, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know. And then where's it go?
I don't know.
I'm guessing back towards that slough that...
Should go there.
To the west or to the east?
I'm guessing to the west.
If it goes to the west too far, it dumps into your new main.
I know.
Are they
That's
paying
what
for it?
Trish told me.
Are they paying for it?
I doubt it.
Well, we open up a can of everything unless we go with agreements and get downstream. We have hearings, I mean, what should've happened here is right what the code says. You file with the auditor that you wanna hook to a drain to whatever, to somebody else, to the county, to whatever. You have a hearing with all the interested property owners.
Right?
And at that point, then you decide whether or not, if it can go number one, and if it does go, who pays
Who
for it?
pays for it?
There ain't that much water stands there, you'd have to worry about it.
I mean, if the ditch was low, if there was no road ditch, would there be any water standing there?
We're just talking about a little hump for a little ways.
Right.
Now.
We have a lot of little humps for little ways, and that, yeah. We look at it from the natural, if the ditch was full, where's the water go? Where'd the water come from? From the other perspective, is the water wouldn't be here if the tile didn't drain into the ditch, maybe.
Well, I don't know, because it could come from the east too, that ditch.
Yeah.
It could flow from that ditch also from the
Yep.
east. So, but when he's got tile that are draining to the ditch and it's coming under the culvert, I'm only assuming.
Right.
I don't know that. for
I
a
look
fact.
at it, it's, again, this is, black, white, and gray. The black and white part of this is if you remove the whole intersection and leveled it all out, where would the water go? And that's where we're responsible to take it.
Right.
But we're not responsible to take subsurface drainage to surface drainage and then convey it somewhere else.
But I don't want the fact that if I got my hoe over there, and then I start digging, and then we have an issue that, like we've had before.
Well, that's why even when we clean a ditch, we follow the grade, whatever it was before, we follow every little rise and little meander of the hill, so that whatever it was, it still is. And we don't deepen it to take it from up here to this pond to dump it over here a quarter mile, because it never went there. It gets very tedious in trying to keep us out of court upstairs with somebody that's receiving the water that doesn't want to.
Right. All right, I'll touch base with
Yeah,
Trish
I
and
think
see.
your option is talk with Gary about getting a written agreement.
Agreement.
And then we can take care of it then.
And that's where, on this, and it gets, who do you get, the downstream, I mean, even to throw it up to a hearing to any affected parties downstream is what should happen. It should've happened whenever they started tiling into the road ditch. And for anybody that wants to tile in the future, that should be what happens. Otherwise, if it was a drainage district, and you filed to build a drainage district, and there was two people that wanted this improvement, any of this that was done, who pays for it? The people receiving the benefit.
I remember a couple of different times, though, they've came in and asked if they could dump into the road ditch, and we gave them the permit with, they paid for any clean out from then on.
Right, and the most recent ones we've done are where they've tiled into one side and they own both sides. We've even got agreements from myself, I, property owner, own both sides, you know, so that if one side is sold down the future, it's all done, and then we're not up here trying to see what rights we have and who's responsible.
Yeah, I understand that.
And there's a lot of them out there, so this wouldn't be the first one. We get numerous requests of, if we'd only deepen the ditch here, this pond would be smaller or gone.
Well then,
But I'm sure this is just buildup from the, I mean, it's not down to grade where it should be right now, because it's buildup from drain off into the...
Where it could be. What it should be from the county's perspective on drainage is natural course. In other words, fill it in, no road there, where's the water go? We have the responsibilities to take the surface water and not impound it. Because we have a deepened ditch somewhere and there's water in it, doesn't mean that that water's improper or not functioning. The fact is, the ditch was there constructed to elevate the road out of the mud in the 30s and the 50s, and the ditch was the borrow and the drainage for the roadbed. And before those ag drainage wells take it, that road, without being elevated, you would not be able to travel it at all. So drainage is very important in there, as is these other ones. But this is a low, flat area, that's, right in parts of the west side of this are DD 125 and parts aren't. The good news on the stuff west of this is they now have an outlet. Instead of looking at that road ditch as a drainage ditch, now all of a sudden they have an outlet that they're gonna pay for or will be paying for, and it's a great improvement. They can tie and run it right to, the drainage district main.
I have to call her back again.
I know.
okay,
That was my mistake. Bruce's fault.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know we went into something. It isn't the question, it isn't a lot of work. It's how much work, how often, and, you know, this...
Right.
How many times you have to repeat it?
Right.
I'll try to convince him to get a hold of you and get an agreement, if that's the way, but I would, if there's willows in there, then let's get the willows out, so we...
Well, one of the things I thought
get over
about that,
hurdle.
for the short term, the willows, as soon as we get a hit on, we can knock willows in a hurry, down. We could have, or should have sprayed them, but we can knock them down and spray them. Other business, we did get most of the snow fence up, we have some left, the winter sand is done. We're still mowing back slopes out there where we can, where the farmers allow us. Unique corner, we got that nuked, and it's a nice fresh haircut out there. You should be able to see a little better for a while.
That's good.
We're back to some tile repairs we did last week, and a few coming this week, along with mounting snow equipment, on our pending. So we're, should be, ready for summer, or ready for winter. We have a couple, health issues on employees where we're a little short right now, and we keep hearing about the potential,
Retirement.
but, until I see a letter in hand, I won't act on any of that.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, now we're gonna move on to approved rate of pay for part-time custodian.
Carl had a
I
recommendation.
think we talked about that, and our recommendation was to start them at $14 an hour and look at it after probation. So I move that we offer a $14 an hour start pay.
What was the last man getting?
A little bit more than that.
Huh?
A little bit more than that, I don't remember what it was.
And how long we look at the probationary period last?
I think the policy book says 6 months, isn't it?
Does it?
I don't remember.
Look, I didn't look.
But
Whatever
according
the
to
policy
book.
Whatever the policy book was.
Okay,
So
Okay,
we have
that's
to make
better.
that effective November 9th when you start?
Yes, effective date of start November 9th.
yeah. Yeah, the first is...
So the 14 is the starting with the policy book giving you the date of probationary being done, then I'll second that.
Okay, got a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, I have discussion and action on the meeting of the week of December 26th, scheduling a special meeting to approve claims.
We discussed this a little bit last week, because of the holiday with Christmas and everything in there. Courthouse will be closed on the 26th, which would have been your meeting date for that last. So we talked about having a meeting on the 22nd, at 9:30, and approve the claims. And just
On
make it a
Thursday, the
short meeting.
22nd?
Yeah, just make it a
29th.
short meeting.
22nd.
Yeah, 'cause you'll have the claims all put together then.
Yeah.
I move we have a December meeting.
What time?
What time was that meeting?
Good
We talked at
afternoon.
9:30.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I've got
that's what I
written
wrote
down.
down, 9:30.
Mhm.
Okay.
Hey, go ahead, Carl.
I'd say we move our December 26th meeting to 9:30 on December 22nd.
Need a second?
I have a first, can we get a second on
Second.
that? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Now we'll move down to, other items of business. Do you have
Well, I had
anything
a
else?
comment, we've talked about this before, but I had a patron contact me from town this weekend that wondered what they can do with their chemicals and old light bulbs and so forth. You know, each year we considered whether we get some way to dispose of these chemicals. I think we decided once it was gonna cost us $1 per capita to go with Des Moines. I don't know why, I didn't know what to tell them. I said, we used to have once a year. How do we tell, what answer should we give these people who wanna get rid of
Well-
chemicals?
Hopefully, the landfill, they're gonna have that household hazardous waste building operational January 1st. Well, they have to by law.
That would help.
But it won't be up and running to the public until March, and then they are gonna have a slow start till June, just because there's so much training that is involved, because there's so much different stuff that comes into that place. So it probably won't be open to, like us, until June.
I think that would satisfy them. They've been storing it for 2 or 3 years.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's what I've
Another
been
6 months
hearing.
won't hurt anything, as long as
Yeah.
they know there's gonna be an outlet.
There's gonna be an
So
outlet.
this is the paints,
The
the
paints, the...
varnish, the
that type
whatever,
of
the...
stuff. I mean, they bring in all kinds of stuff.
That'd be open daily, or weekly, or 1 day a week, or...
It's gonna be open every day of the week,
That'd be
that
great.
they're operational. But they're gonna have it set up by appointment for the large amounts,
Mhm.
because, they've been struggled with the DNR person in charge.
Mhm.
They, will copy their permit exactly like one landfill that got approved, she'll reject ours. They'll change it to the way, what she wants, send it in, she rejects it again for another stupid reason. It's been rejected like 3 times.
So, just so January 1, it has to be open.
Our permit it has to be
Has to
up,
be in place.
yeah.
But as of,
Everything's ready, we just gotta get the permit.
so then,
And then,
towards June, we'll be able to
Yeah.
hopefully be using it.
yeah, hopefully by June, they'll have it open to the public where they're going to start, I think in March, they're hoping to have it completely staffed, and then,
Would it be appropriate to let the media know that? Is that official enough, so these people will quit asking questions?
I think by June, it should be
That'd be great.
operational.
They answer a lot of questions. That's good news.
Yes.
I hope I'm telling the truth. But, 'cause we were gonna be open earlier, but we're struggling getting that permit
That was
through.
Rick Peterson and
Yeah.
his cell number.
Right.
I've had several people at our church ask
but we'll-
me about
yeah, well,
where do
I
you
think
dump paint
Yeah,
that
I knew I'd
they've
help.
had sitting in the,
Okay, we don't have committee reports on there, but we're gonna go around the table and list them anyway. Go ahead.
I had, DCAT Wednesday, I don't know, I'm not sure what the date was. We received $32,000 from, Health and Human Services, I guess, but we can't spend it until 2018, so it won't be available for next year.
Where was that meeting at, Mark?
Hamilton County Courthouse. That was the only one I had, other than, I went and looked at, HK2 over in, North Boston there. And we need to set up a commission to get that land. Humboldt County is on one side of the gravel road and Cassuth County on the other side. And the farmer over there don't wanna do any work in his field. And it's a natural runway down there, you can see it just very easy, and it'll take very little to clean it. But he's farming it different, so it's filling that in, so it's blocking the water. He lost 25 acres last year. And another farmer north of him, that the same line comes through, he lost similar amounts. And they want this land just graded down so the water will run. And the only way you can do it without suing him is to have a commission, two people from Humboldt County and two from Cassuth County to agree to have this, and then we can have somebody go in and do it. I talked to Rick about it. Rick is, I don't know if he's coming back in or not, but we'll need to talk with him. That was all I had.
okay, I had my, the Ministerial Association meeting on the 16th, out at the hospital. The board discussed the mobile food pantry, which we had, they agreed to do it January 11th, but the next time, it's not gonna be at the old fire station, it's gonna be down at the fairgrounds. Down at the old fire station, all we have is those big doors, and I figured it'd be a little cool in January to open those big doors, so it's gonna be January 11th from 4:30 to 6:30 is the time. Also, they discussed the Christmas boxes that the churches have been gathering. They're putting those together on the 12th down at the fairgrounds. I think on the 13th is the distribution, of those boxes. Bell ringing starts, Pat wanted me to put that out for, we'll be actually starting on Friday. Anyone that's interested can call her home phone, 332-1544, and leave a message. Hopefully we could get some, church groups, some 4-H kids, retired people, whoever would take an hour or two. I don't know how long you can stay and listen to that bell when you hear that for several hours, but, that's, I think it, Shopco and the 2 grocery stores is, I think, where she has those. I think that was, all we talked about, so. Oh, and also they did get that pad, they poured a little pad on the west door of the building out there for the food pantry, so that they can at least, they don't have to set stuff in the snow and the mud. They got a little, I don't know, probably 4 foot by maybe 3 foot, so.
That's a great improvement to the whole building out there.
Yeah, and the rest of that pad in front looks nice too, so that's all I had.
The only thing I had, Peggy, was a webinar on Wednesday from ISAC. They reviewed online all the legislative things that they're gonna review with us next week down in Des Moines. And it's kinda ironic, we talked about that this morning, getting things changed. You know, we talked to our legislators, and then ISAC goes on record as to support or not support certain bills, and that'd be one. And where they come up is, the auditors have something, every affiliate has suggestions coming in. We had a chance to make suggestions to our affiliate, and then they come through and they put in this little booklet. So what we was talking about this morning could very well be something we talk about next year, trying to get passed. And they break that down to being high priorities and just policies. The high priorities next year is water quality, just, driving, what do you call it, distracted driving, and mental health. And they'll support those for sure, and there's a lot of other things, but that's the three things they're going after, of course, really. And then, I think all of us got this in the mail, did we not? Anyway, it may become something we have to address someday, is this, minimum wage. And the question we're gonna be asked, do we support a statewide minimum wage, or do we want the county to have the say of that? That's gonna be a debate someday. We're gonna get asked someday, what kind of stance should we be prepared to take? Is it more important to leave it alone, have the counties make the decision, or have it uniform to the state of Iowa? I don't think anybody knows the answer, but something's gonna be in the news. That's it, Peggy.
Okay, I had my landfill meeting down in Fort Dodge. We didn't have a quorum, so we didn't get much done, we just had a little bit of information. And that was that they had hired someone to operational manager for that, household hazardous waste. And like, they were still talking about, the permit came back, denied again, due to some 2 words that weren't the way she wanted them. One time it was, we had it in pounds, and she wanted it in kilograms.
Can't convert, huh?
Yeah.
What date was that?
That was Tuesday, the 15th, at 5:30. So she's really been fussy down there. What else do we have?
Those are number.
That was about, they changed an insurance agent is all. That's not do much, because we didn't have a quorum, so we just had information, so that was it for me. Okay. I think we...
Do we wanna talk to Rick afterwards, or do we wanna talk to him now?
We're supposed to be on a phone call at 9 o'clock with Renee on board for
Okay,
that, right?
okay.
So we
Yeah.
need to get her taken care of?
Yeah,
Do we need,
You're gonna
is that
adjourn
over
and take
drainage,
this-
or?
Well, we can't go into drainage, we're not on the agenda for drainage.
No,
We just talked about it.
that's probably true.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I can't second it too, Ken.
I take the motion.
Thanks, Carl. We are adjourned.